Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the UGAsports.com Quick Take. My name is Jason Butt, and let's talk about this Georgia LSU game. And in particular, we'll talk about one area where Georgia has to be able to capitalize and limit their mistakes, which is what we've seen over the past couple weeks. Some struggles in, and that is none other than the red zone. When it comes down to the big games, when you're talking about an SEC championship, even if LSU is a 3-loss team, they've clearly shown the ability to play against some of the bigger opponents, obviously Alabama being one of them, and being able to win some big games this year. Maybe not to the level of Georgia's big games, but that they have shown an ability to be competitive and be tough, in some big moments this year. So we talk all year, in most games, so much of college football is, or just football in general, especially when you watch the NFL on Sundays, and when the teams become more and more equal as the season goes along, or when it's coming down to these tough games, whether it's the college football playoff or the NFL playoffs, the main thing is limiting the mistakes more so than out scheming and out this and that. Sometimes coaching, there's this notion of coaching is both a something that can get you over the hump in a game, and it's also something that I think a lot of us fans out there, just fans of the game, can often overrate, because at the end of the day, it's the players on the field who are making the plays and who are doing what needs to be done to win games. And so you could have the best game plan, you could have the smartest football mind, but if the players out there aren't executing, it doesn't matter. And then, of course, vice versa. It could be you got the best players and you could have a total moron for a coach, and that's going to also hamper you as well. Obviously, in Georgia's instance, they got great players. They've got great coaching, so they've got to make sure they finish and execute when it comes to these tough moments. And lately, if you had one area to kind of point to that's been a bit inconsistent, and it would be the red zone. And it's interesting because it's not like the Bulldogs aren't finishing. You take a quick look at the stats for the season when you take the full body of work right now, and Georgia on offense in the red zone, 96.97% of the time they are scoring, whether that's a touchdown or a field goal. However, you get to the touchdown percentage, and they are 7th in the SEC at 65.15%. So they are getting points when they get inside the 20 at the highest rate in the conference. However, the touchdown percentage, is lacking. And yes, you look at recent games. 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, the glaring one was Georgia 4th and 1, not being able to punch the ball in the end zone. That's not going to fly at this point of the season when it comes to playing in the SEC championship, and then obviously more than likely win or lose they're in the college football playoff. If they win, they get the Peach Bowl as the 1 seed, and they don't have to travel very far. You're going right to Atlanta. You're in your backyard, and you're going to have a sizable home field advantage with all the Georgia fans that will crowd Mercedes-Benz Stadium in that game, especially if they're playing a team like TCU or USC. That makes this win against LSU even more important, because you can solidify essentially a home game for the first round. So that's there. And then, of course, against Georgia Tech, they got down to the red zone again. They got down to the 1-yard line again, and it just it became tough. It seemed like when the field has shrunk as of late, Georgia's offense hasn't been able to make the necessary plays. And I don't know if it's a case of overthinking, whether it's from an execution or a play calling standpoint. I know against Kentucky, when we did the post game overreaction show, and those who were on the call, we kind of were wondering if there was a lack of creativity there in the red zone. And the thing is, against Georgia Tech, I didn't think it was necessarily a lack of creativity like it was against Kentucky. It seemed like against Georgia Tech, it was a lack of execution from the players. That is something that will need to be ironed out against an LSU team. When you look defensively, when it comes to the red zone. They hold teams to the second fewest touchdown percentage in the conference at 42.5%. And then just overall scoring, LSU is fifth in the conference, allowing 77.5 or scores. They allow scores in the red zone 77.5% of the time. So LSU does a good job at holding teams to field goals. That's what they'll need to do against Georgia to be in a chance to win the game. Of course, I say that. LSU, conversely, you look at their season. They score touchdowns 72.73% of the time when they reach the red zone, but Georgia holds teams to 64% scoring in the red zone with a league best 32% touchdown. Or keep messing up that phrasing to a touchdown percentage of 32. Sure, 32% of the time teams score touchdowns when they reach the red zone. But what's really impressive in this defensive red zone stat for Georgia is that they've only allowed 8 touchdowns once teams get into the red zone, which is a leader, which leads the conference by 9. LSU and Kentucky come in at second with 17 apiece. So just to go over, just to conclude, this game to me is going to come down to red zone performance, and Georgia has to capitalize and ensure that it gets touchdowns over field goals. It reminds me a little bit of the Tennessee game from that perspective, not necessarily how the teams are built. Tennessee was built with a high octane offense where Georgia needed to limit Tennessee on possessions to field goals and when they were on defense. And it was, hey, Tennessee is going to have the ability to score, so you just want to make sure you hold on the field goals, which they did early in the game, and then they were able to capture the momentum from there. Conversely, when Georgia's on offense, they've got to capitalize their red zone opportunities into touchdowns that they want to be able to win and put this game away, and make things easy on themselves. So red zone performance, to me, that is the priority and the top key for this Georgia offense going into the SEC championship. And on that note, I think it's time to conclude. I gave you guys, the Tuesday morning quick take. I hope everybody is doing well, and can't thank you enough for tuning in. If you haven't, please subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. And then, of course, go to the UGAsports.com dog vent and check out everything there. It's the best community for UGA football fans on the World Wide Web. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you guys just how awesome you are. And I've been Jason Butt. Y'all take care.